right, here we go. Welcome. Welcome to session number 162 of Kevin Reads A Course in Miracles. Today we are continuing chapter 20, which is entitled The Vision of Holiness, and we are concentrating on section 6, Roman numeral 6, VI, which is entitled The Temple of the Holy Spirit. Okay, paragraph 1. The meaning of the Son of God lies solely in his relationship with his Creator. If it were elsewhere, it would rest on contingency, but there is nothing else. And this is wholly loving and forever. Yet has the Son of God invented an unholy relationship between him and his Father. His real relationship is one of perfect union and unbroken continuity. The one he made is partial, self-centered, broken into fragments, and full of fear. The one created by his Father is wholly self-encompassing and self-extending. The one he made is wholly self-destructive and self-limiting. Right? So the whole meaning of your true self, who you really are, who is not obliterated, it's just waiting for that realization to rise up in your awareness, that true self, all right, the meaning of it lies solely in your relationship with the Creator. That's what gives you meaning. That's what gives your real self meaning. All right? Is your relationship with your Creator. You are one and the same. The only difference is that we did not create. We did not create the original source. But we create just as the original source does, by extending. Right. So the meaning of the Son of God lies solely in his relationship with his Creator. All right. Because if it was elsewhere, it would rest on contingency. All right. If it was somewhere else, if your meaning was somewhere else, it would rest on, future events or something that you really can't predict, all right? Like how many people say, I'm just looking for, some meaning in my life. And not to denigrate people like that, but we're looking outside. And so it rests on contingency, something that might happen, something that might not. He says, but there is nothing out there, he's saying. He says, if it was elsewhere, it would rest on contingency. But there is nothing else. There is only, in reality, there is only your relationship in the one mind with your Creator. Right? And that one mind in heaven, in the spaciousness, in the void, whatever words people like to choose to describe it. All right? And this relationship is wholly loving and forever. Forever. Yet has the Son of God invented an unholy relationship between him and his Father. All right? His real relationship is one of perfect union and unbroken continuity. The one he made is partial, self-centered, broken into fragments, and full of fear. All right? We did that when we believed that we could separate from the one mind, when we thought we could actually escape the one mind where we live, where we exist. Okay? So we invented. In the minute that happened, the mind split. There was the dissociation. We forgot where we dissociated from. Next thing you know, we're projecting guilt onto God, right? Instead of deep down inside, well, I believed. The ego tells me I killed God, I ruined heaven, but now I have to project that onto God. He's going to come and kill me. He's looking for me. I'm the innocent victim here. Right? So I invented this unholy relationship with me and God. Right? And you can see the machinations of it in the story of Adam and Eve. Right? Where all of a sudden God is an angry God. Right? And they go run and have to run. Right? That relationship was invented by the ego mind, right? To make us afraid of God, afraid of approaching love, afraid of approaching God, right? Because the ego keeps telling us God's going to get you, man. Don't believe any of that stuff, right? So your real relationship is one of perfect union and unbroken continuity. And there it is. That's it. It never stops. And it hasn't even stopped now, even though we think we're separated from it. We're far, far away. All right? So the one that we made is partial, self-centered. Okay? It's all about me. It's broken into fragments and it's full of fear. Right? The one created by his Father is wholly self-encompassing and self-extending. The one he made is wholly self-destructive and self-limiting. Right? So it was self-destructive right from the get-go. Right? Right from the opening bell. It was a self-destructive relationship that I made. And self-limiting, because I'm no longer I think I'm no longer the infinite offspring of the original source. I mean, we're limited here. All right? Some people say you got to rise above your limitations. Well, that's good, yeah. Jesus even says that. He says it's not. Your existence here is not to be without limitations, but it's to rise above them. In other words, yes, in this condition, you are limited. There's all kinds of limitations. But he says, but don't let that stop you from allowing peace to rise up in your awareness. All right. Paragraph 2. Nothing can show the contrast better than the experience of both a holy and an unholy relationship. The first is based on love and rests on it serene and undisturbed. The body does not intrude upon it. Any relationship in which the body enters is based not on love, but on idolatry. Love wishes to be known, completely understood, and shared. It has no secrets, nothing that it would keep apart and hide. It walks in sunlight, open-eyed and calm, in smiling welcome, and in sincerity so simple and so obvious, it cannot be misunderstood. Right? That's our relationship with our Creator. Right? It's just you walking in sunlight. Right? Open-eyed and calm, in smiling welcome, and in sincerity. So simple and so obvious, it cannot be misunderstood. Right? That's our relationship with our Creator. But any relationship where the body has entered, he says that's not love. It's not based on love. All right? It's based on idolatry. Now, an idol is something, a symbol or something that takes the place of something else. All right? So the idol takes the place of your Creator, takes the place of God. This is the idol. All right? This is the idol he's speaking about. Okay? There's many idols, right? Remember the story of the golden calf, all right? The Hebrews in exile in the desert, all right? Moses goes up on the mountain. They're waiting for him. They're getting impatient. They make this big golden calf. All right? And, you know, Andy Warhol, he was funny. He said, you could, I believe it was Andy Warhol. All right? He says, you could put a can of Coke, a can of Coca-Cola on your mantelpiece and pray to it every day. When he says, within a month, you know, you'll believe that that has powers. You know, it becomes an idol, a substitute. All right? I don't need to go off, but I usually do. All right? So any relationship in which the body enters, it's not based on love, it's based on idolatry. End of story. All right? Love wishes to be known, completely understood and shared. All right? The body doesn't really do that. The ego thought system is not about sharing. Okay? That's what he says in paragraph 3. He says, but idols do not share. Idols accept, but never make return. They can be loved, but they cannot love. They do not understand what they are offered, and any relationship in which they enter has lost its meaning. The love of them has made love meaningless. They live in secrecy, hating the sunlight and happy in the body's darkness, where they can hide and keep their secrets hidden along with them. And they have no relationships, for no one else is welcome here. They smile on no one, and those who smile on them they do not see. All right? So he says, if you're focused on the body and how bodies interact, he says that you don't understand what's being offered to you. What's being offered to us is beyond the body. Right? It's in the mind. Right? So the idols, right, the bodies, they really have no meaning. They have no relationships, really. Because we're always deep down inside trying to protect ourselves. Right? So really, actually, no one else is welcome. Right? We can bargain. You know, you do this for me, I do that for you. You know. But until that relationship is turned into what we call a holy relationship, where the whole meaning, the whole purpose for the relationship is forgiveness, is my being willing to see the innocence in the other. Right? If that becomes the focus of the relationship, it has changed. Right? And it's no longer an unholy relationship. The focus is different. Right? But, no, let me skip. Paragraph 4, he says, love has no darkened temples where mysteries are kept obscure and hidden from the sun. It does not seek for power, but for relationships. The body is the ego's chosen weapon for seeking power through relationships. and its relationships must be unholy. For what they are, it does not even see. It wants them solely for the offerings on which its idols thrive. The rest it merely throws away. For all that it could offer is seen as valueless. Homeless, the ego seeks as many bodies as it can collect to place its idols in, and so establish them as temples to itself. So the body is the temple of the ego. All right? The body is the ego's chosen weapon for gaining power through relationships. All right? And what he's describing here is that self-centeredness he was talking about in the beginning. All right? Is that it's all about getting what I need. All right? And so I do that through the relationships. All right? Whether it's person, place, or thing, I have these imagined needs, and this person, this thing, all right, this substance, this food, this liquid, whatever it is, it's going to give me what I need. Okay? And nowhere does Jesus ever tell you, don't do any of this, don't do these things. He's just saying, just notice what you're doing. And it's a wonderful first step. Notice what you're doing. And see if it's bringing you the happiness, the security, the comfort that you want. All right? So, and if not, you can make other choices, or you can make another choice, you know. This course is never about condemnation. It's never about, you never hear Jesus say, what the hell are you doing that for? He says things like, why wait for heaven? All right? And you're much too tolerant of mind wandering, things like that. All right? But there's no condemnation there. And Jesus knows it's a process. It's a process, and the whole process is all about looking at what you're doing, looking at what you're thinking, and if you want to change it, you go inside to the right mind and you ask for help. Help me to see this correctly. That's the process, right? And just stick to the process. Don't worry about time. Jesus tells us that eventually forgiveness brings about the end of time. Okay? Because time only came about because I believed I was separated from infinity. All right, now I believe I'm here with the past, present, and future. All right. The forgiveness will dissolve the need for time. Okay. So love doesn't seek for power, but for relationships. It only wants to spread and extend and join in that way, in the mind. All right. Paragraph 5. The Holy Spirit's temple is not a body, but a relationship. The body is an isolated speck of darkness, a hidden secret room, a tiny spot of senseless mystery, a meaningless enclosure, carefully protected, yet hiding nothing. Here, the unholy relationship escapes reality and seeks for crumbs to keep itself alive. Here it would drag its brothers, holding them here in its idolatry. Here it is safe, in quotes, for here love cannot enter. The Holy Spirit does not build his temples where love can never be. Would he who sees the face of Christ choose as his home the only place in all the universe where it cannot be seen? So with the Holy Spirit, who sees the face of Christ, all right, in everyone, just sees the face of Christ all over the place. And that, once again, is the Holy Spirit sees innocence, no sin, innocence. Innocent as the day God extended, and there you were. Right. So he says the Holy Spirit doesn't build his temples where love can never be, right? In flesh. Okay. So the Holy Spirit's temple is not a body, all right, but a relationship. And those relationships are in the mind. Right? So, paragraph 6. You cannot make the body the Holy Spirit's temple, and it will never be the seat of love. It is the home of the idolater and of love's condemnation. For here is love made fearful and hope abandoned. Even the idols that are worshipped here are shrouded in mystery and kept apart from those who worship them. This is the temple dedicated to no relationships and no return. Here is the mystery of separation perceived in awe and held in revenge. What God would have not be, is here kept safe from him. But what you do not realize is what you fear within your brother and would not seek in him is what makes God seem fearful to you and kept unknown. I don't know if it's really worth mentioning, but Dr. Wapnick would say in these passages, Jesus is alluding to the Catholic churches where they keep the host, the body and blood, all right, the body of Jesus, in the tabernacle, in a little enclosed safe, so to speak. The body is an isolated speck of darkness, a hidden secret room, all right? A meaningless enclosure carefully protected, all right? Yet hiding nothing. All right? And there's other references, but I don't think we need to go into that. You know, the idea of explaining things is here, the mysteries are kept. All right? And I remember as a child growing up in the Catholic schools, 12 years of Catholic education. When, a child asks questions, what is God this, and how come God did that? And a lot of times you were answered with the sentence, it's a mystery, it's a mystery, So I think Jesus is just, poking a little fun at that, So he says, why? He says, would he who sees the face of Christ choose as his home the only place in all the universe where it cannot be seen? All right. So in the body, all right, he's going to choose to keep the memory in the body, the memory of Christ. Right. He says in paragraph 6, you cannot make the Holy Spirit. Rewind. Paragraph 6. You cannot make the body the Holy Spirit's temple, and it will never be the seat of love. It is the home of the idolater and love's condemnation. All right. So it's the home of the ego. the ego thought system. Right? And love is made fearful here. Don't go near it. All right? That's in the obstacles to peace, one of the obstacles to peace. All right? You're afraid of love. You think it's going to consume you. You're going to get wiped out. You're going to be swept away from everything you know, everything you love. Don't go near love. Right? So the body is the home of that thing that takes the place of God. Right? Here is love made fearful, and hope is abandoned. So really, abandon all hope, all ye who enter here. But we do have hope. Right? We have hope because we come to realize that we have a mind and we can make a choice. So there is no such thing as hopelessness. All right, let's get that straight. Okay. Even the idols that are worshipped here are shrouded in mystery and kept apart from those who worship them. This is the temple dedicated to no relationships and no return. Right? I'm not looking to return love. I'm not looking to give you anything. Right? Here is the mystery of separation perceived in awe and held in reverence. So he says, deep down inside, you revere that thought of separation. You celebrate it. All right? You don't know how it happened, but it happened. That's the mystery of separation. It's perceived in awe. Oh, how did this happen? So what God would have not be is here kept safe from him. So what God would not have be is separation. And it's kept very safe, enclosed in this body. Okay? But what you do not realize is what you fear within your brother, which is love, okay, and you would not see in him, is what makes God seem fearful to you and kept unknown. So the love, the innocence, all right, I'm afraid to see that in my brother. I'm afraid to see that in that other person who really is just so despicable. Right? They're just horrible. I mean, you know, sometimes, one time, Jean says to me, why do they have so many of these horrible shows on TV? I mean, there's so many, all kinds of murders, and, you know, trying to solve real life murders and cold cases, and even stuff that's made up on the major networks. You know, you got to say, well, nobody, everybody loves a train wreck. You know, if all the stories on TV were about, wonderful, wonderful people, everybody's having a good time, everybody loves each other, people don't pay attention to that. As they used to say in the very old days, it doesn't sell soap. All right? All right? It doesn't sell the products. All right? They want something that people are going to glue to their TV. All right? So if everybody's nice, they get bored. Right? It's a crazy world. All right, but that was the origin of the soap operas. Okay, they would be on the radio at first, with stories and all dramatic stories and cliffhangers and whatnot, and they'd be selling you soap. 20 Mule Team Borax and stuff like that. All right, let me pull myself back in. Having too good a time here. So he says, you can't make the body of the Holy Spirit's temple. Right? No matter how hard you try, It's the mind where the Holy Spirit exists. All right? And he says, the thing you fear in your brother, which is love and the innocence, all right? And well, the innocence we see, we're willing to see that first, and then it quickly blossoms into the whole encompassing idea of love. All right? And we're afraid of it. We think this is going to disappear. All right? Or somehow, if I see his innocence or her innocence, they're going to overwhelm me. Right? They're going to overpower me, do so, crazy things to me before they kill me. All right? So it's the same thing that makes God seem fearful to you. All right? And therefore, we keep God unknown. All right? Paragraph 7. Idolaters will always be afraid of love, for nothing so severely threatens them as love's approach. Let love draw near them and overlook the body, as it will surely do, and they retreat in fear, feeling the seeming firm foundation of their temple begin to shake and loosen. Brother, you tremble with them. Yet what you fear is but the herald of escape. This place of darkness is not your home. Your temple is not threatened. You are an idolater no longer. The Holy Spirit's purpose lies safe in your relationship and not your body. You have escaped the body. Where you are, the body cannot enter, for the Holy Spirit has set his temple there. All right. He says, idolaters, those of us who believe that we're separate. We believe in the ego thought system. He says, you'll always be afraid of love. All right? And you get threatened by the approach of love. We use that image of children playing at the seashore, right? And they all be standing where the waves end, and they run toward the wave, and then the wave comes in, and they go running back, and they're all screeching and laughing, having a good time. And that's like us. The wave is love, and as it approaches, we want to run away from it. Right? Let love draw near them and overlook their body, as it will surely do, and they retreat in fear. Right? And that's what happens to the ego. The ego feels its whole temple shaking, like it's going to disappear. Right? It's going to just crumble. And then Jesus, who's talking to, through Helen and to Helen, and he tells her, he goes, brother, you tremble with them. He says, don't think that you don't tremble. Don't think that you're not afraid of love. And once again, he's not doing that in condemning us. Just look, just notice. Say, oh yeah, I'm afraid of love. That's why I did that. That's why I said that. That's why I'm thinking those things. I'm afraid to be willing to see the innocence, to see the truth, to see the love that's in that other person. All right? One more time, I'll make reference to one of my favorite songs. B.B. King and U2 doing a version of I Did What I Did Before Love Came to Town. All right? Because I was afraid of love. And I did all these silly things. All right? But then love came around. was no longer afraid of it. All right. He says, yet what you fear love. He says it's a herald of escape. All right. It's the messenger telling you, let's go. Come on, we can escape this silly ego thought system. All right. Because this place of darkness is not your home, he says. He says, your temple is not threatened. Your temple is the mind. Right? The Holy Spirit's purpose lies safe in your relationship, not in your body. So the Holy Spirit's purpose, which is oneness, the forgiveness, which leads to the realization of the oneness, all right? That's safe in your mind. It's always there, waiting for us to choose it. Right? And once you do, you've escaped the body. Right? Where you are, the body cannot enter. Right? In the mind, and in the right mind, as we call it, when we go to Jesus and the Holy Spirit, he goes, the body can't enter there. It's of no use. He says that's where the Holy Spirit's temple is. Right? In paragraph 8, he says there is no order in relationships. Just as the first sentence of the book, I believe, is there is no order of difficulty in miracles. There's no order in relationships. Right? So one is not worse than the other. One is not, a little bit unholy. He says they either are or they're not. All right? An unholy relationship is no relationship. It is a state of isolation, which seems to be what it is not. No more than that. The instant that the mad idea of making a relationship with God unholy seemed to be possible, all your relationships were made meaningless. In that unholy instant, time was born, and bodies made to house the mad idea and give it the illusion of reality. And so it seemed to have a home that held together for a little while, in time, and vanished. For what could house this mad idea against reality but for an instant? All right? So he says an unholy relationship is no relationship at all. It's an illusion. He says it's a state of isolation. I mean, even in form, you could see, what we call an unholy relationship is that relationship of conditions, of bargains. Even though, the bargain is not really spoken of, most likely, in the beginning of the relationship. But there it is. I have a need, an imagined need, several of them, and you seem to be able to fill those. All right? And I convince myself that I'm in love. All right? So he says it seems to be what it is not. So it seems to be this wonderful holy relationship. It only seems to be what it is not. Because sooner or later the facade falls down. All right? This is not to say don't have relationships, just notice what's going on. All right? And see if you can be willing to become aware of the innocence that's in front of you. Is the instant that the mad idea of making your relationship with God unholy seemed to be possible, all your relationships were made meaningless. So, in that mad instant, right, where we thought we separated from God, we felt guilty about it, I did something wrong, now I got to project that guilt. First thing I did was project it onto God. became angry with God. Right? He wouldn't let me be an individual. And I made of him a bad father. Right? He says, and after that, that's that unholy relationship. It's either, either you're angry or you think you're in love. Right? Special love or special hate, Ken would call it. And we had this relationship of special hate with God. He was the one. And it says from that instant on, all your relationships are meaningless. Right? In that unholy instant, time was born. Right? And bodies made to house the mad idea and give it the illusion of reality. So, the whole thought system was put into form. Right? And so it seemed to have a home that held it together for a while in time, and then it vanished. For what could house this mad idea against reality but for an instant? Paragraph 9. Idols must disappear and leave no trace behind their going. The unholy instant of their seeming power is frail, as is a snowflake, but without its loveliness. Is this the substitute you want for the eternal blessing of the holy instant and its unlimited beneficence? Is the malevolence of the unholy relationship, so seeming powerful and so bitterly misunderstood, and so invested in a false attraction, your preference to the holy instant, which offers you peace and understanding? Then lay aside the body and quietly transcend it, rising to welcome what you really want. And from his holy temple, look you not back on what you have awakened from, for no illusions can attract the mind that has transcended them and left them far behind. All right? So is there anything in time? Time happened when we thought we separated from eternity. All right? And he says that everything that exists in time is going to vanish. All right? It's going to disappear and leave no trace. All right? This is that unholy instant is it's as fragile as a snowflake, but not as pretty. He says, is this what you want? Is this substitute what you really want? Instead of that holy instant when you realize you're joined with God. Right? And in that holy instant which offers you peace and understanding. He says, then lay aside the body and quietly transcend it. We're not talking about, like self-destruction or anything. All right? Just stop. Just notice when you're paying particular attention to your body. Because after a while it becomes overwhelming. All right? As we get older, you're trying to juggle. You got too many things going. It's hard to keep up with them all. And you notice. And it's sorry that it has to come to that, but, it's like a blessing. You say, okay, wait. And you start looking at your body a different way. All right? That's how we can leave the body aside. All right? Okay. Then lay it aside. That's also the definition of relinquishing. You relinquish something. You put it down. You're done with it. And you just walk away from it. Nobody's saying you should destroy the body. All right? That's silly. Be normal. Just transcend these limitations. All right? Just transcend it. You're walking down the street and who knows, something hurts or whatever. You can't breathe too well, and you try to relax. You do what you can to fix these things, all right? But you realize that you're not your body, all right? You come, ask for help with it, all right? How do I look at my body? Be in constant communication with the Holy Spirit and with Jesus, asking how to see things correctly. All right? Otherwise, I'm going to curse my life. Right? My knee hurts. My feet are killing me. You're going to start becoming angry at your life and cursing out your body. And it's like, that's a good time to go inside and ask Jesus, how do I be peaceful? All right, how do I be peaceful with arthritis? All right, how do I be peaceful with asthma? That's all. You just ask and be willing to let the answer rise up. Be willing to let the answer rise up. All right. Paragraph 10, the holy relationship reflects the true relationship the Son of God has with his Father in reality. The Holy Spirit rests within it in the certainty it will endure forever. The firm foundation is eternally upheld by truth, and love shines on it with the gentle smile and tender blessing it offers to its own. Here, the unholy instant is exchanged in gladness for the Holy One and safe return. Here is the way to true relationships held gently open, through which you and your brother walk together, leaving the body thankfully behind and resting in the everlasting arms. Love's arms are open to receive you and give you peace forever. So the holy relationship reflects the true relationship. All right? We can have holy relationships here in the realm of time, in the realm of form. But what they do is they reflect the true relationship. Right? It's that relationship between us and our Father. Right? Here the unholy instant is exchanged for gladness. Right? And here the body can't enter. We just let it sit there and wait, I'll be back. All right? Love's arms are open to receive you and give you peace forever. Paragraph 11. The body is the ego's idol, the belief in sin made flesh, and then projected outward. This produces what seems to be a wall of flesh around the mind, keeping it prisoner in a tiny spot of space and time, beholden unto death, and given but an instant in which to sigh and grieve and die in honor of its master. And this unholy instant seems to be life, an instant of despair, a tiny island of dry sand, bereft of water and set uncertainly upon oblivion. Here does the Son of God drop briefly by to offer his devotion to death's idols and then pass on. And here he is more dead than living. Yet it is also here he makes his choice again between idolatry and love. Here it is given him to choose to spend this instant paying tribute to the body, or let himself be given freedom from it. Here he can accept the holy instant, offered to him to replace the unholy one which he chose before. And here he can learn relationships are his salvation and not his doom. All right. So he tells you, life in the body is, you live, you suffer, and you die. All right? All in honor of the ego thought system, in honor of the ego. All right? And this is, he says, and this you call life. Right? An instant of despair, a tiny island of dry sand. All right? He's describing our lives. All right? Bereft of water and set uncertainly upon oblivion. All right? He says, here does the Son of God stop briefly by to offer his devotion to death's idols and then pass on. All right? We stop here briefly by to bow down to the ego. All right? And he says, and here, in form here, you're more dead than alive. He says, but here still, right, in this realm of form, he says, it is also here. He makes his choice again. You can choose at any time. You could choose between idolatry and love. You could choose between separation and the oneness. He says, here, in time, it's given him to choose to spend this instant paying tribute to the body or let himself be given freedom from it. All right, so we can make the choice in any given moment. I'm willing to see correctly. I don't want the ego. All right. And here he can accept the holy instant, offered him to replace the unholy one he chose before. And here he can learn relationships are his salvation, not his doom. Right? And here that we can learn that the relationships that we have, if we just are willing to see, I'm willing to see the innocence. I don't know what it looks like, so I don't want to make it up, but I'm willing to have it rise up in my awareness. And here, you can learn that relationships are your salvation, not your doom. Paragraph 12. You who are learning this may still be fearful, but you are not immobilized. The holy instant is of greater value now to you than its unholy seeming counterpart, and you have learned you really want but one. There is no time for sadness, perhaps confusion, but hardly discouragement. You have a real relationship and it has meaning. It is as like your real relationship with God as equal things are like unto each other. Idolatry is past and meaningless. Perhaps you fear your brother a little while yet. Perhaps a shadow of the fear of God remains with you. Yet what is that to those who have been given one true relationship beyond the body? Can they long be held back from looking on the face of Christ? And can they long withhold the memory of their relationship with their Father from themselves and keep remembrance of his love apart from awareness? All right. In that paragraph, Jesus is acknowledging the fact with us it's a process. All right. He says, you may still be fearful, all right, but you're not immobilized. You're not paralyzed with fear. Right? You're not immobilized. All right? And you realize that you have a mind and you can go and ask. You can join with Jesus in a holy instant. Right? And this holy instant, now it has greater value to us because in those little instants, right, we find peace And we bring that back with us when we run away from it again. We don't lose it entirely. All right. He says, so the holy instant has greater value now than its unholy seeming counterpart. And you have learned you really want but one. You really want the holy instant, he's saying. You've come this far. You realize you would rather have peace. Even though some days it doesn't feel like it. But deep down inside, you've made that choice. Right? I really want to see through the eyes of peace. Right? So he says, so there's no time for sadness. Right? He says, you might be a little confused. And that does happen when we're changing our belief systems. Right? He says, but you shouldn't be discouraged. This is no time for sadness, perhaps confusion, but hardly discouragement. All right? Don't be discouraged. Don't give up. You have a real relationship, and it has meaning. Right? You have a real relationship with God, and it has meaning. You have a meaning and a purpose in eternity. You extend as the Creator does. Right? He says, you have a real relationship and it has meaning. It is like your real relationship with God. Right? So, when I'm willing to be shown the innocence, I'm willing to be corrected, right, in regard to another person, so to speak. He says that reflects your relationship with God. He says it's like your relationship to God. Then he uses a mathematical idea. He says that relationship here in time is just like your relationship with God. Right? As equal things are like unto each other. Equal things are alike. So that relationship is like my relationship with God. When I'm willing to see it through the eyes of peace, I'm willing to see the innocence. I'm willing to have my perceptions corrected. And we keep doing that until we have those aha moments. So he says, perhaps you fear your brother a little yet. Right? Perhaps a shadow of the fear of God remains with you. Yet that is what those who have been given one true relationship beyond the body. Yet what is that? What is that? He says, let me read that again. He says, you might have a shadow of fear of God, or you might fear your brother a little while yet. He says, but what is that to you, who have chosen one true relationship beyond the body? Right? We can deal with it. You notice, oh, I'm still a little afraid. I'm a little afraid of love. And we deal with it. Right? Because we know we'd rather have that great experience of peace. Right? Yet, what is that? That hesitancy, that fear of, little fear of God. He says, what is that to you, who have been given one true relationship beyond the body? All right. He says, can you long be held back from looking on the face of Christ? All right. Once you get rolling, he says, you can't be held back from looking on the face of Christ, from allowing the innocence to dawn on you, the total innocence. And can you long withhold the memory of their relationship with their Father from themselves and keep remembrance of His love apart from their awareness? So as you keep practicing this, and you can't help yourself. This is what you really want is peace. What you really want is the memory of your relationship with your Father. All right? really want that sense of security, that sense of love, right? We use that image of the little child once again lost in the big store, in the big department store, if people still go to those, supermarkets. All right? The child can't find his parents, can't find his mother, his father. He's panicked. And then when he sees them, it's like, oh. And that's what we're going to experience, right? When we keep on asking for our perceptions to be changed, we're willing to change our mistaken perceptions. Right? After a while, the certainty of our relationship with God will dawn on us. All right? In the mind. All righty then. Look forward to the next session. Look forward to communicating with you all. All righty then. Bye now.